Bonjour, mis hermanos and sisters. It's your boy T, guys, and
Colin Gibson.
sir, on a new episode of Local Standouts with a very special guest. This man is a UFC middleweight. He is a former All-American for D3 wrestling. He's also a leader of Perfect Sports and an ambassador for my bookie. He is an absolute monster. He is charismatic. He is electric. He is Punahele Soriano. Puna, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah, that was good. Close enough is close enough for me after all these years. But no, that was really good. That was spot on.
in, o- in other words, I messed it up. All right. Can go with that one. So Puna, right off the bat, please tell everybody, we see UFC fighter, we see All-American, we see an absolute monster on the mat. We see a guy who's got his hands on a lot of different pots, but who is Puna? Where do you come from? What's your drive? What's your why? Where's your passion come from?
I was just a average kid growing up in Hawaii. Kind of did the same thing everyone else did there. Played a lot of sports. Went to the beach a lot. Just did everything the same. Just grew up in that Hawaiian atmosphere. Didn't really know what I wanted to do after high school. Just kind of took a swing with my buddy Dan, who went to Wartburg. Followed him along to Wartburg College in Iowa, and then after that, I kind of just soul searched for a bit. Went from job to job to job to job. Just didn't know what I wanted to do until I kind of stumbled across MMA, and the rest is kind of just history.
So when has wrestling always been a big part of your life, or how did you fall in love with wrestling?
Yeah, that's funny. A lot of people that I went to college and stuff with wrestled like since their kindergarten, second grade. I started in ninth grade because transitioning from eighth to ninth grade, I didn't make the basketball team. Like I was in an awkward stage of my life. I wasn't grown right to play basketball. And I didn't make the team. So I was like, I gotta do something else. And I just joined wrestling and I was terrible. Like I got smashed every day. But I loved it for some reason. And that's kind of where that love started, I guess.
Wow. So you didn't even start wrestling until ninth grade?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So Puna, we can't blow over that because okay, first of all, we both know, all three of us know, you can't anybody that is good at anything or great at anything that we normally come across, like you said, have been wrestling since kindergarten, since they were 2, since they were in 6th grade, stuff like that. So, it's funny that you say that, and I want you to comment on this because for you to start in 6th grade, disclaimer for everybody that's listening to this, from what I noticed, Puna, first of all, like I said, All-American D3 wrestler. I've heard that people even that maybe didn't want to go the D1 route would even come, and look at D3 wrestling at Wartburg. And if not, they'd at least respect, what kind of competition we had. So for you to go, based off what I found, 5-5 your freshman year at Wartburg to an ending record of like 80-29 or something crazy like that in ninth grade, were you just winning? Or did you come out the gates losing every match? What was that journey like in high school? I guess I don't know that story.
Yeah. No, I was pretty bad. I was really, it was funny. I was really athletic growing up. And then like 8th, 9th grade hit, boom, I was super unathletic. I was probably like 5 foot even, but I had size 13 feet and like the same size hands as I am now. So I was just super clumsy, super awkward. And just like I just couldn't get it together, and I lost almost every match. I was probably like a little worse than a 500 guy, and I don't know. I just kept on. I for whatever reason I still love the sport, and that's just what kept me going. I was just having a lot of fun. I was having more fun practicing, going to tournaments than it sucked losing, I guess. So I was kind of lucky.
So okay, but you so you ended up wrestling for Wartburg though, even though you had that journey.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So how did you get to Wartburg?
So after I graduated high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My buddy Dan, who's actually in the UFC, Dan Ige, he was at Wartburg. He was a year older than me, and he went when he graduated. And he was like, "Man, it's different out here. You gotta experience this. The wrestling's on another level." And I had no clue, like what Iowa even was. I had no clue about the culture there. I had no clue about anything. I just, Dan was one of my best friends growing up, and I trusted him, so I was like, "Yeah, sure, we'll take it." And that's kind of how I ended up there.
So
Did you have to try out?
Um,
Sorry, yeah.
like
oh, no, you did.
unofficially, I guess. I guess it's more of like a weeding out process. Like you just keep showing up, and either you're gonna start making the starting lineup, or you gonna give up, I guess.
So talk more about that Wartburg journey. Like Tyler was asking, you started off kind of slow. When did things kind of click for you? Like when did that mindset kind of click to when you started to see success?
You know, um, I really it's hard to say because I really didn't have the best mindset in college. I think I was just lucky enough to where my body started catching up um, to where it was supposed to be, kind of finally growing into its form. But as far as attitude, man, I had the worst attitude in college. I remember going to tournaments thinking like, man, I can't wait to go back to the dorms. I'm so scared. I don't want to be here right now. I don't want to be in this cold weather. Um, but it's just crazy, I was really lucky to get better, even having that kind of bad mindset, terrible mindset.
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless right now, Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gib. This is
Well,
throwing
I
me
mean,
off. I'm surprised. This is awesome.
yeah, it's just so fascinating to me. So like, I guess just kind of going away from wrestling for a little bit. Was fighting always a part of your life too? Were you always like a fan of the UFC, or how did that even? When did that even become like a dream to you?
It's kind of been a dream my whole life, but I never really knew what it meant to be a fighter. I just kind of been around it. My father loved the sport, and we always watched it together as a family. And I just remember like writing papers about it in high school and elementary about how I might be a fighter or this and that, not really knowing what it meant. I just thought it was cool, maybe make my dad happy. Um, but I just always said it, and I guess maybe after all those years of always saying it and repeating it, it just kind of fell into place. Weird.
That's awesome.
So was your dad in fighting then, or see? So okay, just my mindset would be, I didn't grow up with a biological father figure really
Mm.
throughout my life. So like to think about this and to know that somebody had a dad that was important to him. Most of the time, like a proud dad's like, you went to school, you got a trade job, you got good grades, but you said your dad was proud of you or you thought your dad would be proud of you for fighting. Why do you say that?
Um, I don't know. Maybe not necessarily fighting, but like he had always taught me like to be the guy to never give up, to always persevere, to always just give it my all when times are hard, And I guess fighters were the, in my opinion or my eyes, was just the people that embody that. So I guess that kind of translated into that.
So talk a little bit about, so I guess once you got out of Wartburg, where did you go to start training? How did you take that first step into the fight game?
Yeah. So after I moved back home to Oahu, Hawaii, and I was just kind of going from job to job, like I said earlier, just not knowing my purpose in life, not feeling good about anything. And my buddy Dan Ige, again UFC fighter, introduced me to come to the gym he trained at. MMA development is what it was called. And I only came on the wrestling days first. That's my background as a wrestler. So I'd only come on the wrestling days. and eventually I kind of wanted to explore a little more, try some striking, try some other grappling things, and I fell in love with it. I was hooked. I started going every single day by myself, trying to find more practices I could go to, and I was just obsessed with it.
Yeah, but I have something if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Puna, bro. So just to be authentic about this, because like I don't know if I mentioned this on here or our prior conversation, but you were a fun, nice, charismatic, fun-loving dude. Like this is everything about your demeanor.
Yeah.
But I've been watching a little bit of highlights, dude, and you are scary. You are like whoever you are is not there anymore. You're like you turn into a whole other creature, an absolute monster. So, okay, to tell us a little bit about that, because is that like a skill set you developed? Is it like yourself finally letting yourself be something that kind of did you struggle with bullying in the past? Do you look at this scenario as like an opportunity to show kids that they can be themselves and yet still meet whatever competition needs you to be? I mean, what is that? I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You turn into you're not real anymore at that point.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm still learning what it is too. I'm still new in the fight game. I've only been fighting for maybe 4 years now, and I'm still trying to figure that out myself. But recently, when I came home from this last fight, me and my girlfriend were watching the fights, and we kind of started to figure it out a little bit. Like I think we're scratching the surface. We during the fight, she mentioned that there's like a look or like the intensity. What you're talking about, that's just not me. She doesn't know who that person is in there, and she mentions that you can notice when I snap out of it, like I yell after everyone like I'm a bad boy, and then the next one's like I'm a bad boy, like it's silly again, and it's weird. It's like an alter ego kind of, but I never planned on it being that way. It just happens. I just shut out. Like once the fight starts, I black out and I just turn on.
I mean, you gotta have that to go to work every day and get punched in the face. Like you gotta have that switch, that alter ego, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you say, like bigger picture, what motivates you to go every day and just push your body to the limit every day? What's your why? What motivates you?
I got a lot of whys. I think originally the why was just for the love of it. I really love competing and I was doing good, so why not keep going? And as I move forward in my career, I realized that like I can have many whys. Now that I'm in a career of this now, like I can make some serious money. I can provide for my family. I can provide for my family's family. There's a lot I can do with this, so the whys keep growing every day for me, and it just makes me a better fighter.
Awesome.
Yeah, but if I can chime on that then, Puna, so now that you say that opens up a whole other ball game of understanding for me too. Because at first, then I was starting to think, man, if I was in that cage, heaven forbid, if I was Puna in that cage, like maybe that switch is just I need to make it out of here alive. I'm not trying to die. I'm trying to make it home to my dog, But then now the more that you say that, I almost wonder, and who knows, right? But you just said two things. You said I'm still figuring that out as a fighter, but sometimes you think that switch flips for you because your desire is almost so. I mean, your why is just almost building on top of each other so much that it's almost like you're protecting it when you're in there. You're protecting everything. What most people think is in the ring. Everybody, natural eye would say, and then I'll shut up. Natural eye would say he's in there to fight a guy. But for you, it almost comes across as you don't even really see him. He's just a puzzle piece or an obstacle in the way. But you're really, it's just like you versus you. Is that more so what it's like in there?
I not
You just
really.
want to, or you just want to break people?
Yeah, I love the feeling of breaking people. You know, it's an amazing feeling. I never liked the phase you versus you, the phrase you versus you. The way I see it is like I'm working together in unison. You know, every part of me is working together to beat the opponent we have in front of us or the obstacle. So that's where I'm at.
What just tell me, what do you have with like what, let's see. So with your last fight was just recently, right? A couple.
Mhm.
So what's the talk about, I'm just curious, what's the time frame in between fights? Like what's the process like for you in between fights? Just explain that a little bit.
Yeah, it all just depends on the fighter and how they're feeling. Typically, there's medical suspensions. Mine was a mandatory 7-day rest, and after that, it's up to my whenever I want to compete, I can get back in there. Um, so it just really depends. I'm kind of dinged up. I got a little back injury I'm trying to work on, so I'm gonna take some time off, just make sure that's healed up 100% before I kind of jump back into the swing of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I was laughing a little bit in your last interview on that last fight. Come get a membership from me. I tuned into that. I'm sure
Yeah.
a lot of people got a lot of laughs. I'm sure a lot of people bring that up. So don't mean to be a broken record, but just because I would like to find, and I think, as far as UFC and watching you and, people knowing about what you're doing and eventually the future pay-per-views and stuff like that'll be, in the best way that we could support you probably down the line with UFC. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's
Mhm.
other ways along the way. Definitely feel free to tell us. But I do want to touch on first, because I do get so passionate and fired up, paying attention to your UFC journey. I just love the sport in general. But to talk about other things that you're doing, are you doing other things for income that most of the world probably wouldn't know about outside of UFC?
Um, Not really. Besides working at the front desk at our gym, no. And that's only because I was injured for like a whole year, and I wasn't able to maintain that steady income. Um, but no, I'm just working at the front desk and putting all my eggs into this basket.
Is Brandon Flanor at that gym?
No, I wish he should. He should stop by. I'm pretty
I'll have
sure
to talk
he
to him
lives
about
up
that.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to talk to him about that. Gibbs, you have something. Sorry, I felt like I interrupted you.
No, you're good. So what are some of your short-term and long-term goals with fighting? What's ahead, and what do you see for yourself down the road?
I guess I'll start with short term. Short term goals, they change every day. Like I wrote some down today. I'm just trying to eat a little healthier, trying to stick to a stricter routine, a better schedule. I want to be accountable. Like sometimes I set up a routine and I wake up in the morning, and like since I just fought, I'm just like, well, I think I'll do it tomorrow and go back to sleep. You know.
Yep.
It's like it's been almost a month now, so it's time to start getting kind of back on that accountability and kind of getting back to the swing of things. But as far as long-term goals, I have it on my locker at my gym. It's Punahele Soriano, greatest fighter ever lived, and that's kind of just been probably my biggest goal since started.
Manifest it. I love it.
Yeah.
So for somebody that's a kid that's looking at you, Puna, because I'm sure you had some mentors or some people that you looked up to along the way, what advice would you have to a kid who's looking at you and probably potentially trying to mirror who you are on their way to the top? What advice would you give to somebody who is trying to get to the point that you're at today and be the greatest fighter that to ever live? I know you're on your way to that journey, so you're still figuring that out. But what advice would you give somebody who probably should get on the right track, maybe even sooner, if you'd recommend it?
Um, what advice would I give as far as to being the best fighter, like to be the greatest fighter ever lived?
Yeah. Well, first getting to where you're at today.
Oh, okay.
Somebody who is on their way or
Mhm.
has a burning desire to be somebody to be the best they could be. And then also, yes, to be the greatest fighter to ever live.
Um, I'd say the biggest thing I could tell someone or teach a younger generation is to not be afraid of your shortcomings, not be afraid of falling short. Um, but that's probably been the biggest thing to hold me back in the past. Just being too afraid to start or too afraid to buy in completely. That I just didn't reach the goals I wanted. And I feel like that's the biggest change I've made now since fighting, from like falling short at wrestling in college.
Yeah, but I got another question.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So, Puna, I did see a post that inspired me, and maybe I wasn't supposed to come across this. Maybe I was just dreaming when I read this, but I think I came across. It kind of feels weird, I'm like your. You don't have paparazzi now. I'm yours. But anyways, I came across this post, and God, I swear it was like almost years ago. Maybe it was a year ago. Maybe it wasn't even that long ago. But you said something about after college, you actually like mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually was just out of shape. Like you're at a point in your life following Wartburg where, God, again, this could have been a dream, but like almost you ran into Nate Diaz at some point, and he almost like poked fun at you, and just for whatever reason at that moment you kind of got encouraged. But my main thought is, and hopefully I'm not just dreaming this up or whatever, but was it true that you did get down to a very kind of deep place of your life where it was almost kind of wit's end? And then for somebody who I'm coming from the advice standpoint, because Gib and I talked about this on a different podcast. Anxiety is very real, depression's very real, and I don't know if these are things that you went through, but if this is something at all that you could even resonate with. Is this something that you went through? And then for people that did go through something like that, how did you get yourself out?
Yeah, first of all, that was a true post. I just deleted it like quite some time after. Like I just thought it was kind of weird. That's not like my character. Like it's a cool story and stuff, but like I'm not like a motivational guy. I'm just here to win and have fun. So I was like, I'm gonna take that down. But yeah, I don't know if I could say I was, suffering from anxiety or depression or not, but like there was some dark days and life sucked for a little. But like it never seemed bad. I just I don't know, I just was, life never seemed bad, but I was just I had no direction. I had no direction in life. Um just aimless, like an aimless ghost, just walking around, not knowing what to do, just chasing the wrong things, looking for people drinking on the weekend, every weekend, even the weekdays, just, nothing good going on.
Yeah. And I'm sorry to bring that up. I guess I didn't know that about that part that you
No,
took
I
it
don't,
down, but
I don't care.
I don't feel like it was a pity thing. Honestly, truly, like it inspired me, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said that when I was little, from things from anger management to even just being at Wartburg, like being cut from the basketball team for 3 years straight, like those deep moments matter. And so it was inspiring for me, bro, because honestly I enjoyed that. It long after college, for somebody not to give up and continue to pursue something regardless if you feel
Yeah.
like you weren't trying to be motivational or anything like that, and inspired me. So
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that inspired you.
So where can we find you on social media and everything? Got any handles or plugs you wanna throw out there for us?
I think on Instagram I'm Punahele _Soriano. I could be wrong. Twitter, I think I'm just Puna 185. Nothing crazy. I think that's really all I'm at. So I'm a simple dude, man. I'm simple.
We do see though that you have Perfect Sports and you have My Bookie. I know you said that there's not really a whole lot of extra things, but is that another way we can support you at all?
Yeah, anytime you purchase or use any one of them, it's helping me, helping them. So yeah, that.
That's awesome, man.
Cool.
Well, it's been awesome to have you on. I'm already a fan of UFC, but you just gave me another big reason to be a fan, man. So I'm
Heck
excited
yeah.
to see you fight again soon, hopefully. So
Yes, sir.
that's awesome, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, Puna, thank you so much, brother. Continue to be
Yes,
great.
sir.
Guys, again, Punahele Soriano on Instagram.
Thank you.
Check him out. And we look forward to maybe catching base and touching base with you here in the future and seeing your
Heck
journey.
yeah.
But guys, he's 8-0. Check in. Just had his first ABC fight. 8-0,
Yes,
just
sir.
knocked down a 10-0 guy. And we look forward to seeing him win many more bouts. So that is your newest episode of Local Standouts. Thank you all, Punahele. You are an absolute monster. Continue to tear it up.
Thanks,
What's up,
guys. Appreciate
Peace.
it. Have a good one.
Thanks, man.
Sir.